Have you ever heard of a girl named Cinderella who lived in a place called Flower Town? She lost her parents when she was very young and started living with her grandmother. Cinderella's grandmother didn't have enough money to buy her new clothes or toys. Cinderella always dreamt of owning a red frock, but her grandmother could barely earn enough to provide them with meals each day. Despite this, Cinderella never complained or made her grandmother worry about this. One day, Cinderella proposed an idea to her grandmother at dinner. She wanted to start tutoring young children so she could contribute to the household. Her grandmother agreed, and Cinderella started teaching the children the very next day. Gradually, more and more children started coming to her for lessons, and she began earning a decent amount of money. With her income, she could help her grandmother more effectively. Seeing this, her grandmother suggested buying a nice dress for Christmas. Cinderella was delighted and agreed to go shopping with her grandmother. That night, they went to a nearby fair to buy a dress for Cinderella. After looking around the entire fair, Cinderella didn't like any of the dresses. Suddenly, she spotted an old man selling a red frock. She ran towards the man and started pleading with her grandmother to buy it. Her grandmother initially refused to buy such a simple frock, but Cinderella insisted. The shopkeeper then told them that the frock, along with a pair of shoes, only cost 1,500 rupees. Hearing the low price, Cinderella's grandmother asked the shopkeeper why it was so cheap. The shopkeeper explained that it was the last frock he had, and he wanted to sell it quickly so he could go home. Cinderella's grandmother then bought the red frock, and they went home. A few days later, Christmas arrived. The city was beautifully lit, and Cinderella wore her red frock. She looked so beautiful in the frock that anyone who saw her couldn't take their eyes off her. After a while, Cinderella and her grandmother sat down to eat. Suddenly, Cinderella said, "Grandma, I feel like eating out today. I wish we had some outside food." As soon as Cinderella said this, a variety of dishes appeared in front of them. Both of them were surprised and looked at the delicious food in astonishment. They couldn't understand how this happened, so they assumed it was a Christmas miracle and carried on. But the magic didn't stop there. That night, whatever Cinderella wished for, she received. They couldn't understand what was happening. The next morning, when Cinderella changed back into her old clothes, all the magic disappeared. They wondered for many days about what had happened on Christmas. One day, they were invited to a local event, and once again, Cinderella wore her red frock. On their way home from the event, they were surrounded by robbers. The leader of the robbers said, "Give us all the money you have, or we will kill you." Cinderella replied, "We have nothing but this bag, and it only contains a little food." The robber insisted, "I don't care where you get it from. We need money." Cinderella wished in her heart that she had money to give, but she didn't. As soon as she said this, a pile of money appeared in her hands. Everyone was stunned. The robber snatched the money and said, "Now go home safely, and remember, always carry money with you." As Cinderella and her grandmother walked away, they realized that it was the red frock that was magical. From that day on, Cinderella used the magic frock only for good deeds, and the people of Flower Town lived happily ever after.